Moments Between the Thunder by Walter Bowne. The rain on the climbing loft window lures me out on a Saturday sliding backward in the mountains. The water from our morning swim has worn off, but the lake still clings to me, like the whispered words from my wife, her sitting astride my lap in our lake, a living, moving chair, my hands loving, skin, cloth, lake water, the soulrest and armrest. But then the rain switching down on the windows pulls me to the surface like a red wiggler from the soil. The thunder, like a premature dinner bell, calls me to our backyard brook after lunch. In the sudden rain, it surely must be running fast. My wife does not need to ask where I am going. She knows I move by opposite expectations. In my yellow and blue Bar Harbor rain slicker, bought in the old ago with a new wife so young, the rain drums short snares against the blue Lowe's bucket, a soft malleted percussion against my yellow hood, the upended bucket left to collect uncovered rocks for new paths with that naturalized, unnatural look. Long ignorant of my own very long forgetfulness of sunshine and moon glimmer, I greet these rebirth stones who are insensate to how precious they are to me. Just this morning the creek bed was dry, but still with that dark charcoal look of dampness. The rain will have a fresh start at running after falling to the open waters of the sea. I'm curious, falling myself too, upended and blue at times, to feel what it is like in those moments before the water remembers its power. Is it too much to hope for a winged message, a flash of direction in all this gray, to believe the rain might bless before it erases, to welcome the rain in that desert climb, a brief oasis before the end, unaware of impending doom, ignorant of the approaching catalyst of change? The rain lures us to drown us soon. I envision the brown water rising with its first few moments of moving sediment. All that's no longer needed find its way downstream, disturbing our shaky hold on the world, our home and ark on this moving, tremulous earth. I find my usual cleft and observe the rain on my black park bench. The vertical and horizontal metal slots tingle with even more vibrations, the rain having increased the blue tempo. Just 2 inches up or down of water, wind, or me, and the pitch of the brook shifts, its percussion rearranged, its timbre bent, its tempo dropped to half staff, like a constantly shifting conductor or god, Abrahamic or pagan or Neolithic. Moments after a stronger deluge, a stronger surge over dinner plates of granite and saucerfuls of slate, causes a deep resonance. A removed rounded stone opens a seat in the orchestra for a new sound, a new voice. And I consider the total silence of voices so familiar, the dark-eyed junco, the chickadee, the white-throated sparrow. The rain has overtaken the woods, this world. The trees, from these friends of mine, feathered dryads and other nymphs, have the sense to seek the warmth of inner and outer harbors at such an hour. The rain slides through crevices of my own coverings into shorts and boots and briefs. But there is still so much to savor, the boot print, a brief pond for a mosquito. Here, while I'm still able to savor the sensations of this brief life. In half an hour, the water will be clear, creating new sandbars and eddies, shifting rock and stone, leaving a branch here, a twig there, and seeds planted from a plant 1 mile up woodland, unknown in our unfallen backyard Eden, like this moment, away while my Eve, not Eve, showers in her comfort. These moments crack open new ideas in this strange new stage of life of misconfusion, one filled with wonder and anxiety, as it's easy to feel submerged in the sudden thrust of water, the unsteadiness of that stone that had always been secure. And these new identified worries, the wild parsnip menace on my wildflower hill, awash in the sun, blooming yellow with a thread of unearthed beauty that redefines the wild to be dangerous. Danger flower, a touch that can burn and itch and blemish even the skin of Hades. Oh, my Eve, not a willful temptress, but an uneager comforter. But tempt she does, and comfort too, in her hour, in her way. Like the rain, like the thunder, not first woman, but her own woman. Not mine by any definition known to nature or creed. The brook, not ours, governed with the orange ribbon of a survey. I am now dry as a cat in the glow of the gray day, on the futon where my wife and I love to cuddle and moon gaze if Diana decides to appear above the dense canopy of maples and beech and poplar. I hear my Eve, not Eve, churn groan that machine back to life, the partner in still life art, her sewing machine, challenging the gods, the lone goddess, asserting her will in the world, though her spools unending, of varied weight, hue, and fiber, each stitch a new connection. These 3 words, I remain curious. 15 letters strung like filament. What are those words for you, for me? Whitmer's gossamer web flung like his spider working the corners of the world to catch and support an ever-changing world, even possessed with a disassociated burden. I survey what I can, knowing the all I cannot see, and how little I understand. Grateful still, knowing how much more the universe expands and implodes.